Sarah Palin has failed at her most recent attempt at a political comeback. She lost the special election for a vacant House seat in Alaska. That seat is now flipping to a Democrat for the first time since 1972.
That's right. Democrat Mary Peltola won the special election to fill Alaska's House seat for the remainder of 2022. So that means that there will be yet another election in November of this year. But between now and then, again, Mary Peltola, an Alaska native, will be filling that seat. The real news here is that Sarah Palin lost. She fell about 5,000 votes short after Republican Nick Begich III was eliminated and his supporters' second choice votes were actually redistributed. Second choice votes, what does that mean? Well, this was the first election in Alaska where they implemented ranked choice voting. And of course, Palin is blaming this new system for her loss. But at the end of the day, when you look at the way some of the Republican voters in the state voted, it gives you a sense of how much displeasure the people of Alaska probably feel toward Palin, who, let me remind you, decided to quit the first term of her governorship midway through and decided to chase Fox News and celebrity instead. Now, Palin will get another shot at the House race in a few months, as she and Peltola are among those vying to fill the full term in a separate election in November. With Peltola's victory, the former state lawmaker will flip the seat held for nearly half a century by the late GOP Representative Don Young, and is set to become the first Alaska native in Congress. And remember that Palin, again, resigned halfway through her term as governor. And the state has also started using this new ranked choice voting method. What does that mean? Well, Palin criticized ranked choice voting in a statement after the results were released on Wednesday, calling it a new, crazy, convoluted, confusing system. Now, if you're wondering how that works, in open primaries that include candidates of all parties, voters cast one ballot for their top choice, and then the top 4 vote getters advance. Then in the general election, voters rank those 4 candidates first through 4th, okay? And Palin says, quote, though we're disappointed in this outcome, Alaskans know I'm the last one who'll ever retreat. Instead, I'm going to reload, okay, with optimism that Alaskans learn from this voting system mistake and correct it in the next election. Let's work even harder to send an America First conservative to Washington in November. So what does she mean by learn from this mistake? Like, is she blaming the voters? Like, is she claiming that the voters were too dumb to understand how this system works? It's just, anyway, good luck. It doesn't seem like the people of Alaska like you. In fact, some polls show that 3 in 5 don't like her at all. And it could be because of the fact that she abandoned them for celebrity.
Okay, there are 2 giant elements in this story. And the fact that Sarah Palin lost, as she's a kind of celebrity at this point, is the third interesting point in this story, but it's overshadowed substantively by the other 2. So in ranked choice voting, which I love, okay, Sarah Palin should have won, and I'll tell you why. Because the top 4 were 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans, but the other Democrat dropped out, Al Gross did. And now, so the remaining Democrat had all the Democratic votes, and that's why she finished first. So I don't even know what Sarah Palin and Tom Cotton are complaining about. Like, it's not like Sarah Palin ever finished first in any round of voting. No, the Democrat did. She got 40% of the vote, the Democrat did. But then at that point, there's 2 Republicans left. In ranked choice voting, presumably, the Republican that lost came in third, Nick Begich III. His voters should have gone to the other Republican, Sarah Palin, but they didn't. And not enough of them went to Sarah Palin. A lot of them went to the Democrat, and that's why the Democrat won in a red state like Alaska. And what that tells you is, and I'm actually slightly surprised by this, there are actually still Republicans left that don't want to vote for extreme Republicans like Sarah Palin, that they would prefer to vote for a Democrat rather than an extreme lunatic Republican. Color me shocked by that. No, I'm serious. I'm because there was a big chunk of voters there, and I'm very surprised by that. And that's great news for the country. And of course, the other giant news to come out of this is, I think the Republicans are running straight into an iceberg called the abortion issue. And so this is now probably the third election where they had a shocking defeat, and the Democrat ran on a pro-choice agenda.
Yeah, that's right. So I want to talk about the strategy that we saw from Mary Peltola, because her focus was on two main issues, and that was reproductive rights and the importance of empowering labor and supporting labor unions. And those are incredibly popular messages, especially right now when people are seeing their rights being stripped away from them by this theocratic Supreme Court, and workers are feeling more frustrated than ever at both their pay and their working conditions in the middle of inflation when it comes to important things like food and gas and all of that. And I think that that was a winning message. She understands the right strategy, the right issues to tackle while campaigning. And now you see all of these different examples, Cenk, of these right wingers who were just so vociferous in their support of stripping women of their bodily autonomy. And now they're kind of being a little more measured with the way that they talk about these issues, or they run away from their own constituents when they're simply asked about their stance on these reproductive rights issues. And let me remind you about what went down in Kansas, which is by no means a blue state, right? In Kansas, as we had shared with you, the voters overwhelmingly rejected a ballot initiative that would have taken reproductive rights out of their state constitution, thus paving the way for abortion bans within the state. But as you guys know, the voters decided no, we're not gonna vote in favor of that. Kansas had a voter registration spike of 1,038% after Roe v. Wade was overturned. Mail-in voting doubled. Turnout in 2022 doubled from 2018. I mean, you guys are getting the picture here, right? And 2022, of course, is a midterm year. Kansas abortion amendment, about 59% voted no, 41% voted yes. And as you guys know, the pro-choice side won. Kansas had about 458,000 Republican voters versus 281,000 Democratic voters and 184,000 independent voters. So I give you that breakdown because seems like there might be some Republican voters who ain't about the abortion bans either. And that's not surprising when you poll people nationally and see that, 70+% of Americans are not in favor of restricting abortion access. Cenk.
Okay, guys, put these 3 points together, okay? So look at the math on what Anna just told you. In Kansas, first of all 4 districts voted pro-choice, including, there's a couple of districts in Kansas that are deep red, right? Even the deep red districts in Kansas were like, no, pro-choice. That's amazing. And the stat that Anna read you about the number of people who showed up to vote, it was mainly, I explained this in the conversation in an interview I had with Brent Welder, who's from Kansas. The primaries in Kansas were mainly for Republicans. So that's why there was almost as many Republicans as Democrats and independents combined, but pro-choice won anyway and won 60-40. So that means a ton of Republicans voted pro-choice. So that's huge. That's point one. Point two, Pat Ryan in Pennsylvania. They said, there's 8 times as many people registering to vote as there would be before a normal election. Maybe it's because of Roe. He ran aggressively on pro-choice. The polling of likely voters showed that he was supposed to lose by 8. Instead, he won by 4 because all the new people who registered are not likely voters, but they all showed up to vote, and it created a 12-point swing. Now, Sarah Palin loses in Alaska to someone running on an aggressively pro-choice agenda. Oh no, the Republicans are in a world of trouble. That's why they're backpedaling like crazy. That's why Tom Cotton today's like, it must have been the ranked choice voting. It was rigged, it was rigged. Okay, brother, go ahead, run your pro-life campaign. See how it turns out for you if you think it was rigged. And then Blake Masters, a lunatic who's in favor of dictators, just comes out and says, okay, did I say abortion? Scrub the website, scrub it. I mean, I didn't say pro-life, I don't mean the pro-life. Dr. Oz is backpedaling now. And he's like, well, you gotta make exceptions for rape. And it says, well, that's not what you were saying during the primary. Oh, they realize they're right in the middle of hitting that iceberg.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.